Hey everyone, I'm super excited to be here today. How do you do it?
I think it comes from a really deep place of curiosity. I just love real estate so much.
When I met you in Nashville, you see this little 4'11" thing. She's this just powerhouse.
You did it, and I'm so proud of you.
It's an art, and if you master it, you can do great in this industry.
I am actually glad that we're starting with a laugh, because to be here is something that I have to channel in gratitude. I am here with my friend, Peggy Delano, like the hotel chain, or what did you say?
Franklin Roosevelt, president.
So Peggy, we are here because I believe God brought us together, and we have cried together, we have laughed together, and I think just in conversation, spending time with this iconic real estate legend, a woman that I admire after knowing more and more of her story, who has ran so many market centers and helped thousands of agents and coached thousands of independent broker owners, team leaders, you name it. I have just gotten to know her story, and she is, wow, such a gift to not only the industry, but also as a friend. But just over the last few weeks,
Yes.
we have spent some time together, but I think last night, really, last night you said something that I don't think I mentioned how important and impactful it means for this moment.
Okay.
You said you wanted to be the next Barbara Walters.
I did.
And I told you, I want to be known
next.
as the Oprah of real estate.
Yeah,
And
we did.
here we are.
Yep.
I get to interview the Barbara Walters of real estate.
Thank you.
And I'm going to name myself in this particular situation, hopefully the Oprah of real estate.
Hopefully.
Someone who I love and I think admire, that, you know, can pull inspiring stories that can, you know, help people get unstuck, right? And help people really find their purpose. And your tagline is conversations with purpose.
It's so important to me to have those conversations with a purpose. I wish we had a camera last night.
It would have been
'cause
great.
That was amazing. But I want to thank you, because this has been literally a dream, a manifestation. We got to talk on stage. We were both speakers in New York at Eva and Kobe's event in White Plains in June. And we got thrown into the mix of some stuff.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, out of that has come this incredible bond. You better not ditch me next week. I mean,
stuck with me,
seriously.
girlfriend.
Okay, good. It's beautiful.
So I you know, I'm going to have my Oprah moment, but I'm also going to channel in my, oh my God, I'm going to get really comfortable.
Okay.
Because I feel like I'm Drew Barrymore right now, excited to just have a conversation on a couch with someone that has become extremely special to me in such a short amount of time.
Thank you.
And anyone that's listening, you know me as real estate, but you also probably know me, you've heard Veronica Inspires, whatever, and you've heard some stories of like resilience and, you know, some maybe, I don't know, in the past, maybe some trauma bonding, like, oh my God, I've overcome this. That's not the version of me anymore, right? I'm on a completely different journey. I am so grateful for finding my faith and having so many amazing leaders around me that I can really incorporate my faith and business and really know that I am not my business. I don't, you know, what I do for a living is not who I am. And it took me a long time to get here. And I also know that God just continues to send you people to help you. And I think that you, when I met you before through real estate, through Jean and Susan, you know, in these awesome EXP events, you know, we talk about stories and people will say they're inspired. You got close to me and I had a wall up. Because, you know, I just never know. I don't know if it's a real relationship at the surface level.
Right.
And I just want to thank you for not letting that wall be up. But just when we had this opportunity in New York to speak, I heard you speak on stage, you heard me speak on stage, and we hear this real estate story and we hear the inspiring stories. But at the end of the day, to get to know someone behind the scenes is the most beautiful thing. And we decide to go to a Broadway show. I was getting ready to go to my Europe trip, and you were just, you know, being so kind to me. And we decide to just say, you know what, we're in New York, let's go watch a show. There's a Broadway show, Elizabeth Riley, one of our friends, Real Women Have Curves. It's a Latina, you know, led Broadway show that is no longer, but it was the most beautiful Broadway show I've ever seen.
Got chills.
And in that moment, I was sharing some stuff about life, and you said, you were just, let's go have a good time before you guys come up, and your husband's coming up because you guys are going to go on this European trip. Tell me everywhere you're going. Yep. And in the car ride, I get a call from my doctor that was alarming. And you were the first person who saw my eyes water up. And it was one of the most...
I'm going to cry now.
It was one of those moments that I'm like, why does God send you certain people to be around you in those moments? And I felt like you were an angel sent to me. And I just want to thank you. But with that being said, a lot happened in 48 hours. You end up accepting before that I said, if you're going to be in Orlando, come stay in my house. You house sat. And I had to fly to Orlando overnight to get extra testing done. And you were there cheering me on, says, you can get there, you can get back, and you can still go to Europe. And I asked myself, why did I have to go through this? Because the results came back. Thank God. Thank God. Everything was going to be fine. But it was giving me permission to be present.
You were. And you were vulnerable because you didn't know me.
Yeah. And I just want to say thank you for that because you gave me such a beautiful gift. So.
Okay, here we are now. Fast forward.
Enough about me.
It's never enough about you.
But now I want you were like, there's this crazy story about how we were meant to meet.
It is crazy, but I want to go back to my birthday. So I was in Puerto Rico. It was February 9th, Super Bowl Sunday, and I joked that Jean and Susan threw me a birthday party disguised as a Super Bowl party. 140 people plus. You walk in, Tony walks in, you and I, hi, we know each other. They're very superficial, but we respect each other. We see each other at their home, other events. Tony's out doing what Tony does. And all of a sudden, this literally voice, this feeling came over me. And I was like, if I could wish for anything for this coming year, for my birthday, I want to get to know Veronica. I want to get to know Tony. I want Tony to know who I am. I just don't want to be another face in a crowd. And I want to get to know you because I was so inspired by you on many, many things. However, one of the speeches, talks that we were, was it, I don't remember if it was Cabo or Hawaii. Hawaii. You talked about us being one company. It didn't matter about the organization or who sponsored you or who this or who that. And I was like, this is what I've been talking about. This is what I wanted people to see because at my former company, we all know that, you had a franchise. And we were never taught to be one company. We faked it at events. We showed up smiling, but in the background, when the door of my office was closed, man, I was recruiting. I don't care if their office was 2 miles away from me and they didn't care if mine was right down the street, man. They were cutting deals. They were buying people. They were doing whatever they needed
within your own region.
Within my own region.
I know what that felt like. I was a franchise owner too, so I know that.
Crazy. So I was so frustrated with that. And here I am at EXP, and I hear you talking about no boundaries, no limitations, no you're in this organization, you're in that organization. We got to roll together. Yeah. And that just was like, oh my God, that's what I've been talking about. So fast forward, my birthday wish, fast forward, I find out that she's going to be the keynote speaker at an event that I've been asked to speak in White Plains. We're going to sit at the table. We're going to see each other in the bar when you came in the night before. And then you're in and out. You're not staying. That night, when did you arrive? Monday night. Yeah. I think it was Monday night. You said, man, I'm going to, Europe for a month and a half, and I'm flying in and I'm flying right back. And that was what you were going to do. And then we all got to talk when we said, oh, wow, we could go see Elizabeth's play.
And I also want to say, I'm so grateful we had that conversation because I actually honor, I said, my nervous system is kind of saying, maybe I should just, who do I think I am? I'm not a superhero. I don't want to go back to Orlando just to go pick up my luggage. What was I thinking, overachiever in me? Like, oh, I'll just fly in and out. I was like, and I got to fly back to New York on Thursday. I was like, and you're like, why don't you just stay?
Why don't you stay?
And I had permission to just say, you know what? Yeah. And I'm not the biggest planner, but I had left my luggage packed.
I can't believe you were packed.
I was all packed. And I said, I actually left everything packed. Maybe a couple things here and there. My husband made, and he was like, you know what? Sure, if you want to stay. And I actually wasn't feeling good when I spoke in Westchester. I felt a little dizzy. I had felt like I was a little off. And so was like, you should just honor your body. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be still, which is, I know, is very important to you.
Very, very important.
So I said, you know what? I am going to do that. And you were the biggest hype woman saying, let's catch a show in Broadway. And
I'm on my phone getting tickets. And then the hotel was sold out.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we can't let y'all stay another night. Well, I wasn't taking no for an answer, so.
Oh, and that's when I knew she was kind of like a soul sister that came into my life, because she was the get shit done. She doesn't take no for an answer. And I'm normally more like, I'll press. And I was like, yeah, they don't have anything. It looks like I'm gonna have to move to the city. And she was like, no. You have Zoom calls, you have calls. You can, I got you a late checkout. And then she was like, I got you another room. Yeah. But the whole you got me another room came from, we came back from the Broadway show. And you're like, you're not leaving. Yep. You're gonna stay here. We're going to find you another diagnostic test.
You had a room booked in the city.
In the city. And I just didn't have the mental the mental toughness. So I just couldn't think straight to change. And you were like, boom, 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 get things done.
Get it done.
So
we were in your hotel room that morning. And I don't know what came over me. It just came over me because I just was like, I want to help. I'm on the phone, Tony's on the phone, you're on the phone. And I said, listen, I have a car. I don't care where we have to drive. I don't care if I have to drive you to Orlando to get you back. If you can't get on a flight, we'll drive all night. But we were checking Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey. I mean, seriously, it was dialing to get her a mammogram. I mean, that was exactly, because there was no way you could go on that trip not having that. So anyways, fast forward, you get the appointment, everything's good, you got to get to New York. I'm going 2 hours north to Connecticut, you're going south, and I just said, I'm driving you. Because you and Tony are like, well, we'll get an Uber to the hotel, and I'm like, oh, no.
And it was funny because I told Tony was the fixer, right? He was the protector. He's like, I'm flying with you to Orlando. I said, I got to get a flight to Orlando. He's like, what about this trip? You're on the phone. They're telling him it's $20,000 to change the flight. Mm-hmm. You're like, no, I was in the airline industry. We could do this. Let them know about medical. And then they said, well, if you change it for the same day, then it's only like a $50 change or no charge.
It was ridiculous.
And then I said, well, guess what, babe? I'm flying to Orlando tonight. I'm going to get that mammogram at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'll be back by 11 in New York.
Yeah.
And
I have chills.
I said, I got to do this for me. Yeah. I don't need anybody there. I just need to be one with myself and figure out what is supposed to happen. And you take us to the hotel that I had already paid for, and then we didn't use the room. And I was like, give her an extra room. You're staying. You're not leaving because you just drove us for 4 hours. And you ended up staying with Tony as far as, not in a room, but I'm saying like you were like, she's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. And you met the Sotos. And I think what's important about this conversation is you just never know who you're going to meet and who's going to teach you something. And you had been manifesting to meet the Sotos too for a little bit, like you have heard about their work, and then you're like, wait, I'm with them. And then you were partnering with one of our partners in Cape Coral, Yisbel, and you had no idea. And you guys are collaborating and co-sponsoring on some things. And it was just the world coming all together. And you're like, I wanted to be your friend. I was like, girl, you got more than a friendship now. Now you got a sisterhood because you've seen it all. You see me cry. You see me, like have to figure out things. And I just want to say how beautiful it is to have had this experience with you, and I'm excited to witness. I've witnessed you coach. I've witnessed you do your wake up Wednesdays for Jean.
It should be wind down
Right.
Wednesday.
Wake up Wednesdays for Jean, and the organization that you guys have built as part of the leadership team. I've witnessed you coach, just us through this experience, and I'm just so grateful. And so many agents are so lucky to have someone like Peggy in their world as a coach that helps you get out of this mental stuckness. And I think the part 2 with you, right? There's so many parts that we could talk about because you have been involved in the music industry. You've seen Hollywood. You've overcome things that when you're ready to tell your story, you'll share with people. That is really, really beautiful. But through it all, you have just been a beacon of light, of positivity. And if anybody could be grumpy or mean or a victim, based on some of the stories you've told me, I mean, you are the complete opposite. You are just just this light that just gives love. And I think anybody going through hard times right now in our industry, because I know a lot of people are going through tough times. I know it's challenging for a lot of people. And then some of them are thriving. And I think a lot comes down to mindset. And
100%.
who you surround yourself with.
Who you surround yourself with, the stories. One of my taglines is burn the script, rewrite your story, because we all have the capability to do that. We all can step out of who we are. We've all had trauma, guys. We've all had things that we've dragged around. I talk about my dining room chairs. I'm a widow. We'll get into that another time. I'm okay, thank you. But when my husband passed away, and by the way, I could have been Jean Frederick's #1 agent because he was undercover at my home when he went to talk to Jason Guessing. And he came back, and I was like, no, I'm good, because I didn't know that I was going to be a widow. 6 weeks later, my husband bled out my arms of alcohol. And I stayed where I was, but it was a purpose now. I moved to California. I had an opportunity to open up the Keller Williams Laguna Beach luxury office, which was amazing. It was great, one of the best opportunities. And I'm glad that I stayed because it got me to California. And California has gotten me to where I am. So I decided to leave everything behind except a few things. I shipped FedEx 12 boxes. I threw a couple of things on the back of a truck that my girlfriend was coming out to California. She decided she was moving out there with me too. And I asked her if she had room for my dining room chairs. I wasn't taking the table. I was taking the chairs. So I took those chairs to California, and they were great, but something with those chairs, and at one point I even put them in the garage. Then I had an opportunity to move to Cape Coral to launch my organization in Cape Coral. Took the dining room chairs to Cape Coral.
Wow.
They stayed in storage. And then Ian came, a lot of other things. Oh, I had a brain tumor. I'm fine. I decided that my doctors and everything were in California, friends and family. I'm going to move back. And I had to make a decision because the pod was really full. I love to shop. I love to collect. And at that point in my life, a friend of mine said to me, are you moving those dining room chairs back? Because he'd been my neighbor and saw my messy garage. And Brent would always come and say, oh, God, that garage needs to be cleaned up. But he had the insight when I was moving back to ask me that question. You're not bringing those dining room chairs back with you. And I was like, what do you mean? They're my dining room chairs. They were Ethan Allen. I had saved. I put them on layaway. I remember 20-something years ago, they were over $200 a chair.
Big deal.
Big deal. And we're talking layaway for dining room chairs. So I want to step back because I really had to do a lot of soul searching. And I realized that those dining room chairs, I'm going to cry now. Those dining room chairs I was dragging my past. I was dragging my life that I wanted to recreate. The dinner parties, the fun, the birthdays, the celebrations, you know, dragging a dining room chair to stand on to get something off the top, you know, shelf. Those dining room chairs were dragging me down because the times weren't always good. There were the dinner parties where he didn't show up. There were the dinner parties where they would be a disaster afterwards, or I would be criticized. I mean, this is life living with an alcoholic, guys. And by the way, I stayed for 40 years, and I don't regret that. But those dining room chairs at that moment in my life, when I donated them, were the most freeing things I could have ever done. So in my coaching, where I talk about burning the scripts, and by the way, you do deserve a seat at the table. I'm so grateful that I'm at your table. But what I've come to know is that you can build your own table and you create the chairs. And the chairs that we sit in today are not necessarily the chairs we belong in. I have to be still for a second. So those chairs were something that I thought I needed, and I couldn't recreate it. I'm sure you've been in those situations where you want to recreate. So what if you wanted to recreate? What are you dragging around, Veronica?
Oh, that's a whole chapter, especially with this recent trip. You know, I think, you know, I went away not knowing what I would find out about myself being away, because the control freak, like so much has always been about, you know, Veronica did this, whatever. And I'm like, no, I want to see if I have a real business, right? I know I have a real business, but can this really, really new version of what we're building be sustained without me being in the center of it all, but more, you know, you know, I would say from a distance and bigger picture. But what was I really searching for? I really wasn't searching for something business-minded related. I was actually searching for something soul related. I knew I had to make a decision what I was going to part with. And even my house that you stayed in, while I was away, it was
3 weeks.
Yeah, it was being kind of like love it or list it staged. And I was like, when I get back, I'll decide if I'm going to keep it. But in my heart, I already knew, like, it's time to break free from some of the things that I've kept that are no longer serving me or no longer in alignment. And what I'm building, what I believe we're building, is something I said before: no boundaries. I'm limitless. We're limitless. And I'm just having so much fun with the global growth and the organization growth and the team growing without me needing to be there. And I'm like, but it's part of the growth. And I had to just let go. And I have my own dining room chairs I have to let go of. And it's the this and it's the that. But like, what I have discovered on the other side of that is just so beautiful. And I'm excited about, you know, this free version of me not holding on to things that really don't matter. When I sat and I just got to spend time with families that are so passionate, about what they do for a living, but what matters most is the time that they get to be present and be still. And it didn't matter if it was an Ethan Allen chair or kneel, you know, sitting Indian style, or just, you know, walking. It was about being present in the moment. And I think I can lead from anywhere. I can, you know.
You can. You're Oprah of real estate.
I don't need to, you know, I don't need the things that sometimes I took on too much that was weighing me down. Like, I have a house here, a house here, a house here, a house here. I'm like, why do you have so many houses? I was like, home is here.
It is.
Home is here. And it's true what you said about we hold on to the past too, of like the way things used to be.
Right.
And I think that's honestly, those are shackles that we place on ourselves. But it is beautiful to reflect on the memories, but it doesn't have to remain the same. But we can go on. We're going to have a chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, because I want you guys to get to know my dear friend Peggy even more and reach out to her. She's an amazing speaker. She's an author. She just almost finished her book. You're working on your book, and I get to say she did it in my house.
I did a lot of it in her home. Yeah.
I'm excited for that, to read it. And I'm just so grateful that, again, we have got to experience and share space like this, because I don't think people have these kind of conversations. And,
They don't.
you know, ultimately, business has its highs and lows, but it's who you become throughout this thing called life that is really, really special. And I'm just grateful that this next chapter of my life, you had a wish to, you know, that I don't even know how I got so lucky to be in your wish, but like, you're stuck with me, sis.
I hope
You
so.
know?
You're stuck with me.
You're stuck with me, and you got to meet some of my friends yesterday.
Oh my gosh. And I just want to say that. You came back. I picked you up at the airport at 10 o'clock yesterday morning. You had flown all night. You stayed in a hotel. You got up early to get on a flight to be in Florida then. And you had a group of women who love and care about you so much. You were supposed to have a Zoom. And they said, no, we need you. And I was a byproduct of this point. I ended up being, can I say this, the blonde?
Yes.
I ended up being the blonde in the room of all these amazing Latino leadership women of faith. And I just was like, oh my God, how did I get so lucky? And I actually said to you, or said to the group afterwards, I gotta ask you guys something. Are you not talking Spanish? Because I would
No,
never.
we just speak English. You know?
It was so amazing what your vision was and how they came to your home to welcome you back and how they shared. And what you're creating is faith-based, women strong, leadership, get shit done, and not have boundaries. And it was so powerful. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of that group yesterday.
You belonged in the room. You belonged there. And so do you. You belong. You belong in the room. And if anybody makes you ever feel that you're not, you're not in the right room, just know that there's a room waiting for you. Thank you for having a little, I would say, what do you call it? This fireside chat, being a part of this fireside intimate chat, and this, behind the scenes. This is real. This is not staged. And this is what was on our heart. Conversation with a Purpose with Peggy and Veronica.
Thank you so much. Love you.